Lagos, a city that never sleeps, buzzed with energy even as the clock struck midnight. The streets sparkled with the glow of headlights and neon signs. Among the crowds, Ada was well known, though not for the reasons anyone would imagine. Ada was beautiful, with eyes that sparkled like stars and a voice as smooth as honey. She was often found at Club Midnight, one of the liveliest spots in Lagos. Every night, she danced gracefully, drawing the attention of everyone around. Men admired her beauty and charm, but few knew her secret. For months, Ada had been taking unsuspecting men from the club to a quiet cemetery on the edge of the city. The cemetery was eerie, with crooked tombstones and overgrown grass. But Ada was not afraid. She had a mission, a terrible one. A dark spirit controlled her, forcing her to perform rituals that fed its hunger for power. One Friday night, Club Midnight was as lively as ever. The music thumped loudly, and the dance floor was packed. Ada walked in, wearing a dazzling red dress that shimmered under the club's lights. Her eyes scanned the room, looking for her next target. Her gaze fell on Femi, a cheerful man in his mid-30s. Femi was known for his kind heart and cheerful personality. He laughed and danced with his friends, unaware of Ada watching him. Ada approached Femi, her smile warm and inviting. "Hi," she said softly. "You're a great dancer." Femi grinned. "Thank you, you're not so bad yourself." The two danced together, their movements synchronized. Ada's charm worked quickly, and soon, Femi agreed to leave with her. As they drove through the quiet streets of Lagos, Ada led him toward the cemetery. Her voice was calm, but inside, she battled with herself, wanting to stop but powerless to resist the dark spirit. When they arrived at the cemetery, the night had grown eerily quiet. The only sounds were the chirping of crickets and the rustling of leaves. Femi stepped out of the car, his cheerful demeanor replaced by confusion. "Why are we here?" he asked. Ada hesitated, her face pale. Before she could answer, the dark spirit took control. Her eyes turned black as night, and her voice changed. "You have been chosen," she said in a cold, echoing tone. Femi froze, sensing something was terribly wrong. But Femi was not an ordinary man. Unknown to Ada, he was deeply spiritual, a man of prayer and faith. As the spirit began to summon its power, Femi closed his eyes and started praying softly. The air grew thick, and a chilling wind swept through the cemetery. Ada's body trembled as the dark spirit tried to overpower Femi. But his prayers grew louder, filling the air with a divine presence. The spirit inside Ada screamed in rage, but it was no match for Femi's unwavering faith. "In the name of the Almighty, I command you to leave this woman," Femi shouted, his voice strong and steady. Ada fell to the ground, her body convulsing as the dark spirit fought to stay. The cemetery shook as if an earthquake had struck. Femi continued praying, his voice unwavering. Finally, with one last ear-piercing scream, the spirit was cast out, vanishing into the night like smoke. Ada's body went still. When she opened her eyes, they were no longer black but filled with tears. She looked at Femi, her voice trembling. "Thank you. You saved me." Femi helped her to her feet. "It wasn't me. It was the power of the Almighty." Ada nodded, her heart heavy with guilt. She explained everything, how the dark spirit had taken control of her, forcing her to lure men to the cemetery. Femi listened patiently, his kind eyes filled with compassion. "You need to seek help," he said. "There are people who can guide you and help you heal." From that night, Ada's life changed. She left Club Midnight and sought spiritual guidance. Femi became her friend and supporter, helping her rebuild her life. The two often visited the cemetery together, not out of fear but to pray and bring light to a place once shrouded in darkness. But the dark spirit wasn't entirely gone. Though banished, it lingered in the shadows, watching and waiting for an opportunity. One stormy evening, Ada and Femi were at the cemetery again. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the crooked tombstones. Femi's voice rang out in prayer, steady despite the howling wind. As he prayed, Ada felt a shiver run down her spine. She turned, her eyes scanning the darkness. In the distance, she saw a shadow moving, its form indistinct but menacing. "Femi," she whispered, "it's here." Femi's prayers grew louder. He held Ada's hand firmly, his grip reassuring. "Do not be afraid," he said. "It cannot harm us if we stand strong in faith." The shadow crept closer, its presence chilling the air. Ada's heart raced, but she kept her eyes on Femi, drawing strength from his unwavering confidence. The spirit's voice echoed, low and guttural. "You cannot win," it hissed. Femi stepped forward, his voice firm. "You have no power here. Leave now and never return." The shadow recoiled, its form flickering like a dying flame. With a final, desperate cry, it disappeared into the night, leaving the cemetery still and silent once more. Ada fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. "It's over," she said, her voice barely a whisper. Femi knelt beside her, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Yes, it's over, but we must remain vigilant. Evil never rests." From that day on, Ada dedicated her life to helping others who were trapped in darkness. With Femi's guidance, she became a beacon of hope in Lagos, her story a testament to the power of faith and redemption. And though the dark spirit was gone, its defeat served as a reminder that courage and light could triumph over even the deepest shadows. Ada's newfound path as a beacon of hope brought her peace, but peace is fragile in a world filled with shadows. Weeks after the cemetery incident, Ada began to notice strange occurrences. Her reflection in mirrors would linger, staring back with eyes darker than they should be. Lights in her home flickered at odd hours, and whispers filled the air when she was alone. One night, as she prayed before bed, a chilling wind swept through her room, extinguishing her candle. "Femi," she whispered, clutching her phone to call him. When he arrived, he carried his Bible and anointing oil. "Ada, this is no coincidence," he said gravely. "The spirit wasn't destroyed, it was merely driven away, and now it's testing your resolve." As they prayed, the temperature in the room plummeted. The walls seemed to close in, and a low growl echoed from the shadows. A dark figure began to materialize, its form grotesque and constantly shifting, as if it couldn't decide on a shape. "You should have left me alone," the spirit hissed, its voice like shards of glass scraping metal. Femi stood his ground, his voice unwavering as he rebuked the entity, but this time the spirit was stronger, more cunning. It laughed, a sound that made the very air tremble. "You cannot defeat me with words alone," it sneered. "I am bound to her now, and to destroy me, you will destroy her as well." Ada gasped, fear gripping her heart. "No, I refuse to be your host. I refuse to succumb to your darkness." The spirit's laughter turned into a roar, and it lunged at her. But just as it reached her, a blinding light filled the room. The air hummed with energy, and a figure emerged, an old woman wrapped in a shawl adorned with symbols of protection. "My child," the woman said, her voice soothing yet powerful, "you have been marked by a curse older than this city. To break it, you must journey to the source, the spirit's origin." "What do you mean?" Ada asked, trembling. The woman explained that the spirit had been bound to Lagos centuries ago, its power tied to an ancient artifact hidden deep in the city's underbelly. To destroy it, Ada and Femi would need to retrieve the artifact and perform a ritual at the exact location where the spirit was first summoned. The journey was perilous. Ada and Femi delved into the forgotten catacombs beneath Lagos, where time and decay had twisted the passages into a labyrinth. Along the way, they encountered traps, illusions, and other spirits, shadows of the city's past, angry and lost. In the deepest chamber, they found the artifact, a jagged obsidian dagger pulsating with dark energy. But as Ada reached for it, the spirit reappeared, more monstrous than ever. "This is my domain," it bellowed, the ground trembling beneath their feet. What followed was a battle of wills, faith, and sacrifice. Femi's prayers created a shield around them, but the spirit's attacks were relentless. Ada, recalling the old woman's words, realized the dagger could not simply be taken. It had to be willingly accepted, its burden borne by someone brave enough to confront the spirit's full wrath. With tears streaming down her face, Ada grasped the dagger. Pain shot through her body as the spirit screamed, its essence being drawn into the blade. The cavern shook violently, and the walls began to collapse. "Femi, go!" she cried. "I'll hold it back." "No, Ada!" Femi shouted, but the ground between them cracked open, forcing him to retreat. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and follow for more captivating African stories and unforgettable village tales. Your support helps us bring more exciting content to life. Join the journey today. As the catacombs crumbled, Ada plunged the dagger into the earth, releasing a surge of light that obliterated the spirit and sealed the artifact forever. When Femi returned to the surface, he found the city eerily calm, the storm that had been raging now gone. Weeks passed and there was no sign of Ada. But one evening, as he stood at the cemetery, he saw her figure, translucent and radiant. I'm free now, she said, her voice soft yet filled with peace. Thank you, Femi, for showing me the way.